Hello, and welcome to episode 123 of the Pos-cast with Rabbi Shmuel Posner, myself, Seth and Rabbi. How are we doing today?
We are Baruch Hashem fine on the third day of Elul. Elul is the month before Rosh Hashanah. We got to get ready for Mashiach to come. Ready for Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is when Hashem becomes King of the universe. We declare Him King of the universe. We start blowing the shofar on, what's today, Wednesday? On Monday. So in today's Hayayim, it says like this, in the English. Whoever has faith in individual, in Hashgacha Pratis, in divine providence, knows that, quote, man's steps are established by Hashem. Hashem Mitzadei Gover Kananu. Hashem designates the steps of man. That this particular soul must purify, that's a pasuk in Tehillim, which means that this particular soul must purify and improve something specific in a particular place. For centuries or even since the world's creation, that which needs purification or improvement waits for this soul to come out and purify and improve it. Okay? So it means that if you believe that everything is by divine providence, then wherever a person happens to be, it means that that soul has to do something specific at that time and that place. The soul too has been waiting ever since it came into being for its time to descend so that it can discharge a task of purification and improvement assigned to it. So both the soul has to improve the place where it's going to, and the soul itself also has to fulfill its mission. That's the teaching for today. And it's connected to the parsha, because in this week's parsha, it talks about, at the end of the parsha, it talks about if you go out to war, and the instructions that have to be given to the soldiers, that if they just got married, or if they just bought a new house, that they shouldn't go to war. And if anybody is weak of heart, they should not go out to war. So the idea of going out to war is like the idea of the struggle we have with the physicality of the world, and that's the Hayomim is connected to that we come down to this world to purify the world and also to fill the mission of the particular soul. Now, this is a letter from the previous Rebbe who wrote this to someone who had survived the war and came to America, I think. And so Rebbe wrote this letter, and in the letter, he told him the story. And if you want to see the story inside, it's on Chabad.org. It's called The Rune in the Forest. And basically, the Baal Shem Tov, in the year 1759, had a student named Moshe Rappaport. Now, Moshe Rappaport was not a big follower, was not a big fan of the Baal Shem Tov, but eventually he came over and became a great devotee of the Baal Shem Tov. And the Baal Shem Tov told him that on a certain day, in the summertime, he should go to the forest that's outside the city where he lived, and he should told him the place he should go. He should bring with him the book of Mishnah Torah of the Rambam, and he should learn 4 chapters dealing with the laws of blessings. And he should write down his Torah thoughts. He was a big Torah scholar, and then he should daven mincha and come home. And also, it seems that he told him that while he's there, if he's thirsty, there'll be a stream of water, and you should make a bracha and drink the water. Now, the place that he had to go to was not very, very far away from where he lived, but it took a long time to get to the destination. The harness on the horse snapped, the wheel broke off, all kinds of stuff happened. It took a long time to get there. So even though he left early in the morning, he didn't get there till mid-afternoon. And finally, he comes to the place in the forest. He finds a place the Baal Shem Tov indicated to, and it seemed like there was some kind of rune that was there. Like it was an empty space in the forest, and there was some kind of rune there of a house. So he sat down, he started learning the Mishnah Torah, the laws of blessings in the Rambam that the Baal Shem Tov instructed him to do. And it was very hot. It was the middle of the summer. So he went looking for the water, and he found the water. He took a cup of water. He made a bracha on the water, drank the water, and then he washed his hands and he davened mincha. A couple of months later, this Rabbi Chaim Rapport came to the Baal Shem Tov, and he said to the Baal Shem Tov that his Torah study had increased drastically since that afternoon he spent in the forest. So during the Shabbos that he was there with the Baal Shem Tov told him that there was a Jew. His name was Shmuel, the son of, his name was Moshe, the son of Shmuel Tzadok. Now this Moshe ben Shmuel Tzadok was a great Torah scholar, but he had very, very deep doubts in the belief about he had great struggle with doubts and belief of God. And he had passed away 117 years ago, and that was the house that he lived in. And towards the end of his life, he did tshuva. He came back to becoming a devout follower of Hashem. But the Torah study that he had studied in a state of heresy was needed to be elevated. So Hashem said, for 117 years, the soul of this Moshe ben Shmuel Tzadok had been waiting for somebody to come there and to elevate his Torah from the place of impurity to the place of purity. And by your doing that Torah study, you had accomplished that. And also the water. We know that when God created the world, the first day the world was covered with water. The second day, God divided the waters below and the waters above. And the waters below, so the water above went up somewhere in heaven, and the waters below stayed down on earth. And the waters below cried to Hashem and say, Hashem, why are we stuck down here in this world? And Hashem calmed them down and said, don't worry, we're going to pour water on the altar on Sukkot, and so the water also will have, and other things we'll use the salt from the oceans for the mizbeach. So you'll also have a place. You have a purpose as well. But nonetheless, these water and below, which were never used for anything holy at this particular place, were also crying out and saying, no one has ever washed their hands here. No one has used us as a mikvah. No one has taken a drink from us to make a bracha on it. And so now, not only have you elevated the soul of Moshe ben Shmuel Tzadok, you also have elevated the water that's been waiting for 5,519 years that someone should come and should make a blessing over the water. That's the story that the Frierdiker Rebbe writes in the letter to this man about his trip to the forest on that day in Tammuz, in the middle of summer. And that's what the Hayom is teaching us also, this idea of wherever a person goes, their footsteps are guided by Hashem. They have a mission to fulfill there, number one. And number two, it fulfills the mission of their particular soul. Now, this is extremely important and connected to what's going on in Boston and around the country, as people are moving into college, right? We're in Boston, so we're college focused. And it's just incredible. The past few days, I met students. I don't think they're going to see the Pos-cast. I'm not going to drop their names because I just met them once. But their stories will go out there. So one of them is going to Berkeley College of Music, which was always you talk about divine providence. When you end up in Berkeley College of Music, it's not a logical thing. It makes no sense to go to that school. I hope no Berkeley alum are listening. It's a music school. What are Jews doing in a music school? Jews go to business school. That you can understand. But what, music school? Anyway, and in all honesty, it's very difficult to be a musician and be an observant Jew. You can't, Shabbos, a lot of stuff goes on. Whatever, there's a business angle to it, but anyway. But the point is, I think when you end up in a place that seems so unlikely, it's even more why am I here? Oops, that was a motorcycle. Why am I here? And you just have to say, Hashem wants me to be here. So I met this kid, and how did I meet him? Because his mother messaged me. We're coming to Boston, want to meet you. Can we come on Sunday? So Sunday, everybody knows that Sunday is Newbury Street Day. So I said, yeah, you can meet me if you come early in the morning, but after that, I'm out. Anyway, and she also wants to know if I had tefillin. She comes to the Chabad, you have tefillin there? I'm do I have tefillin here? So, and then when she said,
maybe a couple of pairs.
So then I said to her, Pani said, okay, meet you in the afternoon. I said, great. I'm on Newbury Street. And the place we are in, the place that we're at is 271 Newbury Street. That's our front, is the real estate office on 271 Newbury Street. Oh, that's great. my son is dorming at 270 Commonwealth Avenue, which means it's back to back. So they came around and she said, oh, they have tefillin there. Yes, we have tefillin there. So they came put on tefillin, and this is parenthetic to the general theme, but it's so important to mention. So I start talking to her, and she's originally from Israel. Kid went to like Jewish day school, till 8th grade. Very, very familiar with tefillin, Shabbos, Hebrew, the whole bit. So then I said, like, does he have a pair of tefillin? She said, yes, he has a pair of tefillin. It's at home, which is not in Boston. I said, oh, why did he bring his tefillin? So the mother says, because my mother lives in Israel. And she called me and said to me, and she's the one that actually bought the tefillin for her grandson. The grandson told me that later. And she said, he shouldn't bring the tefillin to Boston, to college, because she understands from her perch in Israel that it's very dangerous to do Jewish stuff on campus in America. So he shouldn't bring his tefillin with him. Like, oy Hashem. So I started laughing, sort of, in an ironic way, saying, one second, she's in Israel that's been at war for the past 2 years. And in America, and she's worried about her son having tefillin. Anyway, so met the kid and put on tefillin with him, and finally yesterday, whatever, we missed each other. So I took a pair. Well, the challenge is he's a lefty. I only have one lefty pair of tefillin. So I said, I called him yesterday. I said, I'm coming to your dormitory tomorrow morning before your day starts, and I'm bringing you tefillin. And I came there this morning at 8:30, and lo and behold, he's ready, and we gave him the tefillin. So, and I said to him, and he's a great kid. And he's like very proud to be Jewish. And he said, oh, I met this Jewish kid in my dorm. I said, what's his name? His name is Gilad. I said, Gilad, you're the shliach to Berklee College of Music. You got to meet him. And he said, yeah, I was standing in line for something or other yesterday, and I saw a kid, Jewish kid, I went and started talking to him. So there you go. And now that was one kid. Another kid, there's a school called the Newman School. You've never heard of it, have you? It's of all things.
I don't
think so. It's on Newbury Street. It's like a post high school. I don't know, it's something weird. A post high school with like I guess it's a small school with very specific mission. Anyway, and so this kid, Shomer Shabbos and the whole line, and kosher and everything, for whatever reason, I'm not going to get the whole story, but basically he's there at that school also. At that school. I said to him the same thing. I said, look, you're there. The reason you got there is a whole convoluted story. It's not important right now. But the point is, I said to him, if you're there, it's not just that you can keep Yiddishkeit for yourself. It's like you have to represent and be there for other Jews. And I think that's every Jewish student, even though, as is known, when parents come and say, oh, is this school, whatever it is, Boston University, Emerson, Berkeley, it doesn't matter which school, whenever they come and ask, is this school a good school? Is a Jewish community here good for my son or my daughter? I said, no, keep your kid at home. What is a Jewish kid who wants to keep Shabbos doing at a university, surrounded by, the chances that your roommate will actually be Jewish it's possible if you really work on it, but not necessarily probable or it's going to happen. And anyway, you sit in a classroom with hundreds of people. How many of them are Jewish? Like, what are you fooling? Because there's 4% or 8% are Jewish, or 10 or 15. Who cares what the percent is? It's still 80% not Jewish. 80, and it's not going to be near that. Maybe like 90 or 95. Anyway, the point is, Jewish boys and girls don't belong in college, in secular universities. They belong at home in the protection of a good Jewish community they're familiar with, and then they can go spend their time during the day if they need to go get a secular education. Anyway, but that's irrelevant because I'm in Boston for students that are coming to Boston to go to college. So the message to them is, if you're here, that means that you have a mission here. The mission is first to correct the environment you're in. Maybe not first, but that's what it is in the teaching from today. It comes talking about first how you affect the world, not what it does for you. But that's what it is. It's for you as well. That's the fulfillment of your neshama as well. is for that reason, is to be where you are. And once you're here, it's like the soul. It says this, when the soul's in heaven, it says, I don't want to go down to this. The Mishnah Pirkei Avos, it says like this: Bal korchach ata chai. Against your will, you're alive. Then it says, Bal korchach ata meis. Against your will, you die. It's like, well, which is it? Is it bad to live or bad to not to live? So the idea is that the soul doesn't want to come down to this world. It's living up in heaven next to Hashem. It's great for the neshama. Then it has to come down and be dropped into a human flesh and blood body. The neshama is not very happy about it. So, but then once it's here, it's like, okay, make a dwelling place for Hashem in this world. That's what Hashem, the whole purpose of creation is for this world. So then the neshama is very excited and happy to be here. Like, wow, look what I'm doing. I'm serving Hashem in the best way possible. So then it doesn't want to die. It doesn't want to leave. Like, oh no, I want to stay here because I'm doing such a great thing. So that's really the being pulled in two directions, which just happens to us always. Like, you get up in the morning, you go to shul, you want to daven. Once you're in shul and you get into davening, especially when you're the chazan, which I'm the chazan now, davening in the honor and memory of my father. When you get into davening, it's like this, it's a cool place, it's a good place. When you get into the davening, you're there and you're distracted. When you're a chazan, you can't be distracted. You got to be really focused, super focused, because you're leading it. So you can't go faster. You can't go. Like, you have to be. You're so in tune with the people around you that are davening. So it's powerful. It's amazing. And it's like, oh man, this is a good space to be in. If you concentrate, and you're reading the word and you're saying them, you think about what it means. It's like you're thinking about Hashem. Whatever, I'm talking about these great lofty Kabbalistic thoughts, just reading what you're saying and thinking about what it's all about. It's a really powerful connection. Which is why I say to people, oh, I daven at home. Nobody davens at home. You may say some of the words at home. You're not davening at home. You're not going to shul. You're cutting corners with this. You're getting distracted. You can't. It's impossible to daven at home. You got to go to shul to daven. Anyway, so once you're davening, it's like, I don't want to leave this. This is so cool. But then when you get out of it, it's like, okay, now I gotta, like I did this morning. I was davening in Newton. Meeting started at 6:30. I was there at 5:45, mikveh, whole business preparations, and then afterwards I had to go bring this guy to tefillin because he had orientation. I had to be there at 8:30, so I came from Newton back to Chaladas, pick up the tefillin, and go over to bring it to him. And he was there on time. And it was, then that's like, wow. Now I bought tefillin for another Jew to be able to put him on. He has his own tefillin. So once you get into the world stuff, you're like, yeah, this is amazing to be able to do Hashem's will in making the world a godly place. So that's like the pull. Do you want to be here or you not want to be here? And the point is, what we're saying over here is that wherever you are, that's where you're meant to be, and you have to embrace it fully and make that place into a holy and godly place. So along these lines, we could, of course, talk about Newbury Street. So I think we're winding down, actually. I don't know when it ends. It doesn't end for us because we just go, if the street's not closed down, this we did last year. We went like into October, November, and then they have one day in December for some reason, like during the winter. Anyway, but as long as the weather is normal, we're going to be there because it's just amazing. So this past Sunday, nobody was here. Nobody's in Boston. Yonis Binyamin is not out of town. And I didn't know Yakir, he's an Israeli guy. I didn't know if he's here, he's not here. And he showed up for the last hour. So I went there myself, whatever. And it was windy. And so when you have a table with stuff on, it's windy, it's terrible. And then you have the tent on top. So I started putting it up, the tent on my own, which is always, and I do it like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. So there's always people, it's already like a lot of people are there. People always stop and help me. But it didn't work. Something got broken. I couldn't put it up. Then when I finally get it up, the wind was coming. I said, forget it. I just put it down and then no thing. Then I had the table and I tried to put anything I had, like an advertisement of Shabbos, I taped it to the table. Whatever, something else taped it to the table. But still, there was some things like yarmulkes, like 3 or 4 times at least, maybe 5 times. Like stuff started blowing. And again, like all the people are scurrying around and helping, picking up these things and bringing it back to me. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Oh, man. And then Baruch Hashem, it was cloudy part of the day or else the sun is beaming down straight. And it didn't bother me one bit. You know why? Because it was so busy. Believe
Mm.
me, it was amazing. Now people are coming over, and this one guy came over, and it's like 30 years old, and he comes by and says, "Are you able to put on tefillin over here?" Like some people just don't, they don't get it, which I understand. They never saw such a thing. Can you put on? Yeah, you can put on tefillin here. And he tells me that I think I'd seen people put on tefillin online or something. And he woke up that morning and he said to himself, "I want to put on tefillin today." And he was with, I think, his mother or his wife, or I don't know, some other people were with him. And he said, we were just walking down the street, and I said, "I really want to put on tefillin today." And there we were. And it was the first time he put on tefillin in his life, which is like crazy, crazy, crazy. Like I was
Mm.
insane. It's like unbelievable. And he lives like in a town, and he knows the Chabad rabbi there. I'm like, what's going on over here? So anyway, I took a photo, send it to the shliach, and it's his job now to follow up and all that. That was like just a beautiful thing. And there was a few other people, same thing also, that never put on tefillin before. So it was a very busy day. And then Yakir came at the end of the day. He speaks Hebrew and Spanish for some reason. I'm not sure where he got his Spanish from. He's very, very Israeli, but he speaks Spanish. And his family came over. They were Espanol. He like boom, 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 and we got him all wrapped up. So it was so. And they start out like, "Oh, this is gonna be so terrible. The tent is broken. It's windy. Like the worst." And I'm alone. And like I was very frustrated because when you start putting on tefillin with one person like this, yeah, are you Jewish? Are you Jewish? They don't really know what you want. So you have to go over and you start talking to them. But when you're putting on tefillin with one person, people walking by see, oh, they're putting on tefillin. So then, and you can then see people that know what it is. You can like call them over, like, they know exactly what to do. You don't have to talk to them. You just say, "Hey, you're going to do it." And sometimes people came over and were talking to me. And I was like, I'm trying to like put tefillin on one guy and talk to the other people. It's impossible. Anyway, so lesson is never go alone on Mitzvayim. But there's no one around that was going to go with me. But it worked out. No complaints. Whatever was supposed to happen happened. And met a bunch of, and it was also like Berkeley, they were given like a tour of the city. So they gave them some free time just to roam on Newbury Street, which is, Hashem orchestrated that completely. So I met a bunch of, Berkeley students with their parents coming by because they were taking this little walk. Anyway, so Hashgacha Pratis, there's another time, there's a teaching that people who sit and learn Torah all day, which is very, very important, what they're missing is, and what the advantage of someone who's out in the world is, when you're out in the world, you could see how Hashem runs the world. Like even if you're not looking to do Jewish things, you just see how Hashem runs the world, because you make a business deal, or you get a job, you get this, you get that. You just constantly see Hashem's divine providence in everything you do. I think I once told the story about the post office. Do you remember this? How frustrating it is to go to the post office. I don't remember what the story is, but there was a post.
Vaguely,
Huh?
I vaguely remember it, but
Yeah.
I
But
don't know.
anyway,
If you
first,
started telling it and I heard it, maybe I would
yeah, I
recognize
remember.
it. But
I remember because I remember it because it was so frustrating. I still remember it. But so yesterday I had to go to the post office. Okay. Now I had to go to the post office because I ordered mezuzahs, and when
Mhm.
you order it from this particular guy, if you get it like 50 of them, you get a better price. But I don't need 50 mezuzahs, and they're very expensive. They're like $60, $70 each. So you have to pay up front. So it's a big investment. So I asked my son-in-law, Chaya's husband, Moshe, he wants mezuzahs. Last year, he said, yeah, get me a whole bunch, and together we'll be able to make an order for me and for Yisrael and for him. So yesterday I got the mezuzah. I wanted to mail it to him. So I found this. All the details I'm telling you are important. So don't think like, oh, don't roll your eyes. I found this UPS envelope that was like somewhere in my office. It's a padded envelope because I wanted to put in something that's padded. So I put it in,
Right.
I folded it over, taped it around, typed up, printed out the address on a piece of paper, taped that onto the thing, and here I'm off to go to the post office. So I come to the post office, and the woman behind the counter, and I'm gonna identify her because this is gonna be important for the end of the story. It's a black woman who I've never seen her before, and I'm watching her because post office workers, in my opinion, are the slowest workers in the world because they're in no rush, they make no profit, makes nothing, and it's just like and in this particular post office, there's one person who's like slower than everybody else. It's just, and so when I go there, in my mind, I just say like, this is gonna take a while. Just chill out. Sometimes I actually take out my phone. I'm learning chumash or something, just waiting in line. But now there's nobody in town, so there's no lines. But there's one person, and the woman is like, they used to have tape in the post office. So if you wanted, if you bought a cabinet, you could use the. Then I guess it was too expensive for them. They cut out the tape. And behind the counter, this post office worker, she's like helping the. I didn't see exactly what, but taking out the tape and helping her package it up. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So I get there, and they put the address in. They can't find the address. Okay, I'm telling you. So I call my daughter. She doesn't answer the phone. I'm saying, this is the right address. Just let it go. Now, while I'm standing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how, while she's trying to find the address on the computer. So I'm thinking, wait a second, they're going to take the package of mezuzahs, they're going to put it into the bin with everything. And so halachically, like, if you, like, let's say you go to the airport and you have your tefillin with you, like, you don't want to leave them outside, you have to go to the bathroom. So the thing is, if it's double wrapped, then then it's not so, it's better, it's not as bad. You can even take it in with you. So when I travel, I put my tefillin in like a bag and put it into a suitcase, and then if you need to, I have it. Right? So here I'm thinking like, boy, I should have double wrapped the mezuzahs.
Mm.
As I'm thinking that, she like looks at the package and she walks to the back of the office somewhere, and she comes out with a white envelope. I'm saying like, what's this for? So because it's a UPS thing, and I had actually, while I was waiting before in line, they had like a black marker. I like crossed out any previous addresses, and there's a big fat UPS logo, so I couldn't. So I didn't make some lines on it. I said, well, it's so no. The rule is, the law, whatever, that they can't mail anything that's in a competitor's packaging,
Mm.
which I think like it's like, I felt like I'm being like a good citizen. I took a envelope that would end up in the garbage. I recycled it, and like,
Also, in my opinion, saying that UPS is a competitor for the post office is like saying that the Dodgers are a competitor with the Athletics. Like we're talking different levels of shipping things here.
it's not only that, but the post office, I think, delivers packages for UPS.
Yeah, yeah, UPS will do this like I hate it when they do it because I don't trust my local post office. They do it's like SurePost or something where it goes from like it ships UPS until it gets close to you and then they give it to the post office. So you lose your tracking.
Right,
You get the
right,
tracking and then it's like, okay, it's at the post office now. Good luck.
right. Exactly. So I'm just like thinking, oh, this is the stupidest thing in the world. But I said, oh my God. So she brings out these clear white. I'm thinking, oh, now she's gonna want to like, I have to buy an envelope for them, repackage it. What a headache! But no, she comes out with like white Manila envelopes and takes the whole thing and puts it into the envelope. Like, yes, now it's double wrapped. So I'm like, okay, thank you, Hashem. Anyway, so we're looking. I'm trying to look online for the address and all this, and I whatever. I said, this is the right address. Just put it in and fine, be done with it. So then I come home, and like an hour later, my daughter didn't answer the phone when I was in the post office. An hour later, she called me and said, why, and she said, I said, oh, I was just calling because I was having problems in the post office. And I think I asked her what her address was, and it ended up that I put down the address is 373, and it's 343.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh my Hashem, does 373 even exist? Oh, excuse me. If it does, why did that happen? I never sneezed. What is it? What episode is this?
123.
I never once sneezed. It's the first time. Anyway, so I said, "Oh, this is terrible." So I went running back to the post office. I walk in, and she says, "Hi, Rabbi. What do you need now?" And so then it hit me like, how does she know I'm a rabbi? And I figured, how would she not know that I'm a rabbi? And then I said, you were right. It was the wrong address. And she started looking for it. I said, oh, maybe I can find it. I could find it. As I say, it's in a white envelope. And she started laughing. I said, I know it's in a white envelope. And she finally digs it out, puts it through the whole system. And then she says to me that really, because you pay for it, now she's putting a whole new address into the system, really I should be paying again. I'm not sure what the logic is, but she said, I'm doing you a favor and I'm not going to charge you again, whatever. And then as I'm going, and I thanked you, I was very, very pleasant. I was very nice because I wasn't, the first time and this time. And then I said to her, I said, thank you very much. And as I'm leaving, she says, God bless. Or, and I'm thinking to myself, there's no white woman in, that was like, you could see like the real, and I was like very Southern black. It's like amazing. And I said, thank you very much. And I just walked out and it's like, wow, this is like a very pleasant experience in the post office. But more than that, it was a Jew, non-Jew relation, connection in a positive way. Like she helped me out. I was nice to her. And I'm just, this is another one of these hashgacha pratis where I happened to decide to mail it, happened this, happened that, came back a second time. And I think that's part of the mission of the Jews in the world is every interaction with anybody and everybody and anything has to be like, what am I doing? How am I making the world more ready for Mashiach to come? That's the bottom line. And especially now in the time of Elul, when we say the king is in the field, Hashem is accessible to everybody, you have to see. So it's not we're not connecting to Hashem in shul so much. Yes, we're saying a little more Tillim every day, 3 chapters every day. We increase. We're doing more Jewish stuff, that are not directly connected to the world. At the same time, also we have to be more sensitive in the world that we're preparing the world for Rosh Hashanah and for the revelation of Hashem. May it be speeding our days. We should have the King in the world, Mamish, the King Messiah, Mashiach Tzidkenu, third base Hamikdash now.
Amen. And with that, thank you so much for listening to episode 123 of the Pos-cast. Rabbi Shmuel Posner. We will see you next week.
Ksivach Zima Taiva.